Did you ever watch those videos where people who move to Alaska try to answer the question, why is Alaska different? And their answer typically is, it's just different. It's hard to explain. Drama, mysteries, exaggerations, and keeping people wondering why is great for views. But the question is not really that difficult to answer. And the answer is not going to keep you on the edge of your seat in anticipation and excitement. I'm going to answer the question, and you're going to get bored. Some people may think Alaska is different because just running a simple task in the wintertime is always a challenge. But that's the way it is in any state that receives large amounts of snow and has ice-covered roads by the time Christmas arrives. Some people may think Alaska is different because of the variety of wildlife that walks past your front door or past your vehicle stopped at a red light. But there's a lot of states that have similar wildlife that Alaska has, or other dangerous wildlife you'd rather not confront while running to the mailbox to see if your new pet rock has arrived yet from eBay. Some people may think Alaska is different because of the remote towns. But every state in the U.S. has remote towns and communities. And some people may think Alaska is different because of the mountains and beautiful scenery. But almost every state has mountains, and beautiful scenery can be found anywhere. Maybe it's the size of Alaska compared to all of the other states that makes it so different. Although that answer is true, that's a simple answer for an easy way out of a simple question. And I want many views, so I'm not going to make it that simple. I've driven through a large portion of Alaska on more than one occasion, and there's only one big difference between Alaska and everywhere else in the lower states. And that one big difference is there's a lot more of everything everywhere in Alaska. Take the mountains, for example. Most every state is going to have mountains in certain areas. But in Alaska, whether you're in a remote town, on an island, or even in Alaska's largest cities, you're always surrounded by mountains. No matter where you drive, no matter where you go, there's no escaping mountains either alongside you or in the horizon. What about those remote towns? You can't get anywhere in Alaska without driving through several small towns or communities. And most of these small towns and communities are remote because of the distance between where you're coming from and where you're going. There's really no short drive in Alaska unless you only need to pick up a gallon of milk. And on your way, you will pass through small community, through small community, through small community, like it's never going to end. And that makes sense considering the majority of Alaskan towns are very small and remote. This is one of the reasons I would always recommend whoever comes to Alaska to drive through at least part of the state rather than taking a cruise. It's hard to imagine what it's like driving from point A to point B in Alaska until you actually do it. Most people are going to ask themselves, how can people live this way when the road trip is over? Most people have probably heard their friends who have visited Alaska in the past say, when we were at this part of Alaska or that part of Alaska, it was so beautiful it felt like you were standing in a painting. And it's true. Alaska is so large, there are so many spots where the landscape looks so perfect it doesn't seem real. It really does feel like sometimes you're standing in a painting while you're in Alaska. If you go back and listen to the reasons I gave for why Alaska is so different than everywhere else, use your imagination like you're the one seeing what I'm describing, and you may better understand what makes Alaska so special. Or even better, Make your next vacation a road trip through Alaska. Even if it's only for 7 days, it will most likely be one of the best vacations you've ever taken.